Someone who survived the gauntlet today was Tulsi Gabbard. This was supposedly a much more controversial pick. Had a harder time getting the Republicans on board with confirming Tulsi, or at least the vote to push her along to the next level, to the next round. Which, by the way, that vote is not scheduled for next week. They're thinking maybe the week after next. It could be the week after that. We don't know. It could take them weeks and weeks. But Tulsi Gabbard has been pushed through the Senate Intelligence Committee on a 9-8 vote, a secret vote behind closed doors. We can assume it was along party lines. There's 9 Republicans, 8 Democrats. So we can assume it was probably along party lines, but it was a secret vote. So we don't really know for sure. There might have been, a Republican defector to the other side and a Democrat defector to her side. I mean, who knows? Susan Collins was one that was a one to watch. She had voted against Pete Hegseth. And there was rumblings, I should say, that she would not be voting for Tulsi Gabbard. And this is what she had to say.
After extensive consideration, conversations with her in my office, attending the hearing, questioning her there, and listening to her in the closed session, I decided to vote that I will vote for her. I believe she's committed to strengthening our national security.
Okay, so Susan Collins was a yes vote. Todd Young was one that he kind of got strong-armed into this, actually, because Senator Tom Young was pretty much going to be a no vote. And then Elon Musk came along and kind of put him on blast on X and then had a conversation with him and then said, okay, actually, Todd Young has the best, he's going to do the right thing, essentially. And so Todd Young also voted yes for Tulsi Gabbard, and he put this note out explaining his vote. He says, I appreciate Tulsi Gabbard's engagement with me on a variety of issues to ensure that our intelligence professionals will be supported and policymakers will receive unbiased information under her leadership. And again, there was some concessions that had to be made by Tulsi in order to get his vote. What were those? He says, what were those? Tulsi actually wrote this letter. This letter is from Tulsi to Senator Todd Young, kind of reiterating some of the things that she had told him. So she says, Senator Todd Young, I'm honored and grateful to President Trump for his trust and confidence, blah, blah, blah. She says, great, we're going to ramp up security for the Biden administration. Okay, got that out of the way. As I've shared during our committee hearings, the QFR process, and in my op-ed this weekend, I'm committed to working to restore trust in the intelligence community and bring ODNI back to its original mission of keeping the nation safe. If confirmed, I will begin with leading by example, checking my own views at the door, and committing to delivering intelligence that is collected, analyzed, and reported without bias, prejudice, or political influence. During my time in both Congress and in the military, I've engaged with world leaders and been privy to highly classified intelligence. I know firsthand how essential, accurate, unbiased, and timely intelligence is to the president, to Congress, and to our warfighters, and the heavy cost of intelligence failures and abuses. As requested, below are the list of commitments you asked that I make to you in this letter. Okay, what are they, Tulsi? I commit to holding accountable and seeking justice against any intelligence community employee, contractor, or subcontractor who is suspected of making or facilitating an unauthorized disclosure of any intelligence program. I will not advocate for any protections which should only be extended to lawful and legitimate whistleblowers, to any intelligence community employee, contractor, or subcontractor who makes or facilitates an unauthorized disclosure of any intelligence program. So Todd Young was particularly upset about Snowden, and he really pressed Tulsi on Snowden quite a bit. So this is what she's saying is, unless they're a whistleblower, a legitimate whistleblower, I'll hold them accountable. Then my question is, okay, but what if what they are exposing is crimes committed by the U.S. government? She says, I commit to working with the committee to evaluate whether existing laws, regulations, and policies are sufficient to deter an intelligence community employee, contractor, or subcontractor from making an unauthorized disclosure of any intelligence program. I will, if confirmed, communicate explicitly to the intelligence community my commitment to holding accountable and seeking justice against any violator of existing laws, regulations, or policies against unauthorized disclosures or intelligence programs. That I will not, contrary to a statement on X on June 3rd, 2019, protect any intelligence community employee, contractor, or subcontractor who commits an unauthorized disclosure of any intelligence programs. So I'll protect the state more than I will the person, is what she's saying. But again, she doesn't, after she's confirmed, does she have to? I don't know. I think all of this is just lip service. As I said to Senator Collins during the hearing, I commit to not making any recommendation in a personal or professional capacity regarding the legal standing of Edward Snowden to the President of the United States or to the Attorney General of the United States. What is Todd? Why is he so uptight about this one thing? Like, what's his deal? He's Edward Snowden obsessed. I will provide timely and comprehensive information to the committee regarding my foreign travel and visas with officials or agents of foreign governments, including such visas that occur within the United States as appropriate. Similarly, as I said during the hearings, I commit to working with the committee on reauthorization of authorities granted by Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and will work with the committee on appropriate improvements and reforms as needed. Sincerely, Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, you know what? Rip it up and throw it out the window, Tulsi, as soon as you're confirmed. No one will blame you. It'll be fine. Once you're in, you serve at the pleasure of the president. And guess what? This will be the last time you serve because in 4 years, it's going to be somebody else. So you might as well live it up. Live it up, everybody, while you're there because Trump only has 4 years. And that means so do you. This is what's been making the rounds on the mainstream news today on MSNBC and CNN and all of them. They're all in hysterics over these people. They just cannot, RFK Jr and Tulsi Gabbard, they challenge the sacred cows of the uniparty. They just endless war, big pharma, intelligence overreach. They just love all of that. And they just can't believe that somebody would actually challenge this. They are the deep state's worst nightmare. And here is one of the vocal proponents of the deep state, John Brennan, former CIA director, who was a CIA director from 2013 to 2017. Here he is saying Tulsi Gabbard is so dangerous.
And talking also about Gabbard, she's going to be, if she's confirmed, DNI. The CIA has the man and woman power, have the troops to operate in the field. They've got the analysts. The DNI coordinates, but does handle the final edit on the presidential daily brief that is produced by CIA, and the briefer gets appointed. So she's a lot to say about what information actually gets to the President of the United States. What are the risks there?
I think there's significant risk because this President's Daily Brief, the PDB, which goes to the White House and goes to 2 or 3 dozen senior officials, it provides the insights, the intelligence, the analysis that is necessary to understand exactly what is happening around the globe. And if you don't ensure that the PDB is going to contain the best information, the most accurate, the most honest information, irrespective of what the policy druthers might be of the White House, you're really doing a disservice to the American people. So again, I know that the men and women throughout the intelligence community and at CIA just want to make sure that they're able to do their jobs, again, with the integrity that I think has been the hallmark of their profession over the last, 75 years.
John Brennan, former CIA director, former Homeland Director at the White House. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Also, the person who helped cover up war crimes committed by the U.S. government. He did later on, I'll give him some credit. He did later on say, that covering up and making excuses for torture program was one of his greatest shames. But nonetheless, he did that. So here's a guy that also, was talking about the Steele dossier and Trump being a Russian Manchurian candidate. John Brennan cannot be taken seriously. But one thing that he mentions, and this is the key component to the whole thing with Tulsi Gabbard. So her job is pretty limited, unfortunately, as Director of National Intelligence. Her job is to brief the president every day on intelligence matters. But where does Tulsi get that brief? She gets it from the intelligence agencies, mostly the CIA. So the CIA hands her what they want her to see and deliver to the president. And then she gets to edit that and say, well, I'm not going to deliver this to him. I'm not going to deliver that. And the concession she had to make was, I won't, with any bias or any personal bias, limit, this information to the president, that he'll get the information. So what they want Tulsi to be is somebody who does not think for herself, Because of course, when you think for yourself, you're going to have your own bias, your own opinions. That's natural and normal. And nothing is saying that your bias or opinions are wrong. But you are going to be operating from that point of view. And they want her to just set that aside and essentially be a courier of information. And that's it. Like, don't do any thinking on your own, Tulsi. Don't actually read it and assess it and think, are they lying to my president and trying to get him to go to war? Because we all know that the CIA is extremely trustworthy, and they would never do anything so crazy like that, would they? They would never lie to an American president to try to get him into war. They would never lie about what's happening in a foreign country to try to facilitate regime change. They would never do anything like that. No, 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 no. So you just take what you're told, little girl, and get it over to the president and make sure he gets it. I mean, that's what they want. And it's insulting, and it's also ridiculous. And I hope that Tulsi just tears up this letter and says, yeah, anyway, I'm going to filter to the president what I think is actually real, legit information, and that isn't meant to affect regime change and war and all of these crazy things that all you warmongers want. So she's the gatekeeper, and they don't like that. They don't like her as the gatekeeper because she just might think for herself, and she just might think something that the war criminals don't want her to be thinking. Lastly, the question of when are they going to be confirmed? When's that vote going to happen? I kind of mentioned it, but it's not scheduled for another week or two. Here's actually a list of the Trump picks right now. And I don't know when when that vote is going to come through on the Senate committee, when they're going to actually decide on whether or not to advance him. But you can see everybody in the gray. These are all people who have already had their Senate committee hearings, but they have not been placed in front of the Senate for an actual confirmation vote yet. That's a lot of people. I mean, we're still waiting on Brooke Rollins from Agriculture, Howard Lutnick from Commerce, Lori Chavez DeRemer from Labor, RFK Jr., obviously, he's got to get through to the Senate floor, Scott Turner for Housing, Linda McMahon for Education. She's going to be put out of a job. She's going to be putting herself out of the job. That's what Trump wants, because he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. Tulsi Gabbard, Jamison Greer for U.S. Trade, Elise Stefanik for the UN, Kelly Loeffler for Small Business, Russ Vought for OMB. And that's that. I mean, I think Pam Bondi was that today? Because this is different. Yes, okay. Pam Bondi, as of an hour ago, has been finally confirmed. Okay, so Pam Bondi made it through. That was one that they were waiting on, and her Senate committee hearing was a long time ago, and they made her wait forever to be confirmed by the Senate, but apparently they just did the vote. So she's now, because actually you can see this graphic right here that we pulled that from earlier today, and she's in gray, Pam Bondi, but she has now actually been confirmed, and that's the only one on this list. So it could take a while before Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard are actually confirmed and through the second phase of the Senate Hunger Games and confirmed into the positions that Donald Trump has nominated them for. And quite frankly, he deserves this team. He won the election. Everybody who voted for him knew who he would be putting on his team. He deserves that team. I might not like everything that he's doing, but he does deserve the opportunity to get done what he said he was going to get done, and an opportunity to get done what the American people voted for him to accomplish. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show. If you want to watch the full show, visit KimIversonShow.com. The show airs every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's KimIversonShow.com. See you there.